Hello, this is day 62 of reading one canto of the Divine Comedy every single day. We are on Purgatorio, Canto 28, which I'll read from the Longfellow translation before giving some quick comments. Eager already to search in and round the heavenly forest, dense and living green, which tempered to the eyes the new-born day, withouten more delay I left the bank, taking the level country slowly, slowly over the soil that everywhere breathes fragrance, a softly breathing air that no mutation had in itself upon the forehead smote me, no heavier blow than of a gentle wind, whereat the branches, lightly tremulous, did all of them bow downward toward that side where its first shadow casts the holy mountain. Yet not from their upright direction swayed, so that the little birds upon their tops should leave the practice of each art of theirs, but with full ravishment, the hours of prime, singing, received they in the midst of leaves, that ever bore a burden to their rhymes, such as from branch to branch goes gathering on through the pine forest on the shore of Chiasse, when Aeolus unlooses the sirocco. Already my slow steps had carried me into the ancient wood so far that I could not perceive where I had entered it. And lo, my further course a stream cut off, which toward the left hand with its little waves bent down the grass that on its margins sprang. All waters that on earth most limpid are would seem to have within themselves some mixture compared with that which nothing doth conceal, although it moves on with a brown, brown current under the shade perpetual, that never ray of the sun lets in, nor of the moon. With feet I stayed, and with mine eyes I passed beyond the rivulet, to look upon the great variety of the fresh May. And there appeared to me, even as appears suddenly, something that doth turn aside through very wonder every other thought, a lady all alone, who went along singing and culling floweret after floweret, with which her pathway was all painted over. Ah, beauteous lady, who in rays of love dost warm thyself, if I may trust to looks, which the heart's witnesses are wont to be, may the desire come unto thee to draw near to this river's bank, I said to her. So much that I might hear what thou art singing. Thou makest me remember where and what Proserpina that moment was, when lost her mother her, and she herself the spring. As turns herself, with feet together pressed into the ground, a lady who is dancing, and hardly puts one foot before the other, on the vermilion and yellow flowerets she turned towards me, not in other wise than maiden who her modest eyes casts down, and my entreaties made to be content, so near approaching that the dulcet sound came unto me together with its meaning, as soon as she was where the grasses are. Bathed by the waters of the beauteous river, to lift her eyes she granted me the boon. I do not think there shone so great a light under the lids of Venus, when transfixed by her own sun beyond his usual custom. Erect upon the other bank she smiled, bearing full many colours in her hands, which that high land produces without seed. Apart 3 paces did the river make us, but Hellespont, where Xerxes passed across, a curb still to all human arrogance, more hatred from Leander did not suffer for rolling between Sestos and Abydos than that from me, because it oped not then. Ye are newcomers, and because I smile, began she, peradventure, in this place, elect to human nature for its nest, some apprehension keeps you marveling. But the psalm Delectasti giveth light, which has the power to uncloud your intellect. And thou who foremost art, and didst entreat me, speak, if thou wouldst hear more, for I came ready to all thy questionings, as far as needful. The water, said I, and the forest's sound are combating within me my new faith in something which I heard opposed to this. Whence she, I will relate how from its cause proceedeth that which maketh thee to wonder, and purge away the cloud that smites upon thee. The good supreme, soul in itself delighting, created man good, and this goodly place gave him as hansel of eternal peace. By his default, short while he sojourned here, by his default to weeping and to toil, he changed his innocent laughter and sweet play, that the disturbance which below is made by exhalations of the land and water, which, far as may be followed after heat, might not upon mankind wage any war. This mount ascended towards the heavens so high, and is exempt from there where it is locked. Now, since the universal atmosphere turns in a circuit with the primal motion, unless the circle is broken on some side, Upon this height, that all is disengaged in living ether, doth this motion strike and make the forest sound, for it is dense. And so much power the stricken plant possesses, that with its virtue it impregnates the air, and this revolving scatters it around. And yonder earth, according as 'tis worthy in self or in its clime, conceives and bears of diverse qualities the diverse trees. It should not seem a marvel, then on earth, this being heard, whenever any plant without seed manifest there taketh root. And thou must know, this holy tableland in which thou art is full of every seed, and fruit has in it never gathered there. The water which thou seest springs not from vein, restored by vapor that the cold condenses, like to a stream that gains or loses breath, but issues from a fountain safe and certain, which by the will of God as much regains as it discharges, open on two sides. Upon this side with virtue it descends, which takes away all memory of sin. On that, of every good deed done, restores it. Here Lethe, as upon the other side, Eunoe it is called, and worketh not if first on either side it be not tasted. This every other savour doth transcend, and notwithstanding slaked, so far may be thy thirst, that I reveal to thee no more. I'll give thee a corollary still in grace, nor think my speech will be to thee less dear if it spread out beyond my promise to thee. Those who in ancient times have feigned in song the age of gold and its felicity, dreamed of this place, perhaps, upon Parnassus. Here was the human race in innocence. Here evermore was spring, and every fruit. This is the nectar of which each one speaks. Then backward did I turn me wholly round unto my poets, and saw that with a smile they had been listening to these closing words. Then to the beautiful lady turned mine eyes. So Dante proceeds into what we find out is, in fact, the Garden of Eden, as it was at the beginning of Genesis. It is now here at the top of Purgatory for those who ascend through its terraces. And now Dante is here, and he can hardly keep from exploring it, and he finds this lady who is named once, kind of offhandedly, not in this canto, but a few from now. Her name is Matilda, and she is there to help guide him just a little bit further. And we notice that she's picking flowers. The flowers that are picked apparently do not grow from being planted with seeds. Why is that? Well, if you remember and you read the Genesis account closely, it's only after the fall of man that Adam and Eve have to plant seeds. By your toil on the earth shall you get your food, shall you live. Whereas before that, before there was sin, before the fall, in the Garden of Eden, there was no need for that. And so that's what I think is represented by these plants, flowers, but also fruits that grow without needing to be planted first. Matilda also explains to Dante that the river that he has found is not an ordinary river that, ebbs and flows with the whims of the water cycle, but instead it is, in fact, the river Lethe, which exists in Greek mythology. Here, Dante has adapted it. It was the river that the souls who go to the underworld pass through on their way to being reincarnated, and it washes away all the memories of their past life. Here it serves a similar purpose, but definitely not the same. There is no reincarnation in Christianity, of course. So what does it do for Dante? In Dante, the river Lethe erases the bad memories of sin. And then on the other side, the Eunoe, that river restores the memory of the good deeds. So these two rivers, which flow together, are about the malleability of memory. Not so much for what is remembered, but the pain and joyful associations thereof. It removes the pain of the sinful memories and restores and strengthens the joy of the memories of good deeds. Going into heaven, you're not dwelling on the mistakes of the past. You are instead focused on what did go right and what has been done right for you in your life, so that you can sing it as praise to God for the rest of eternity. Matilda says one other thing worthy of note. She remarks that those poets who sang of the age of gold were thinking of this place, this Garden of Eden. Dante turns and smiles at Statius and Virgil, who are themselves beaming because That's a reference, again, to Virgil's fourth eclogue. Again, the semi-messianic poem that he wrote. It does speak of a golden age of man far gone by where things were perfect. And Matilda's saying that, Virgil was, in his own way, a prophet. He was thinking and writing of this place. Honestly, it's the greatest honor he could be given under the circumstances. That's all for today, though. I'll see you tomorrow.